let's go ahead and transition over the players. They are shuffling up while Patty B grabs those deck lists for us. I probably did. I can check it out.
Or would you just rather have paper ones?
Either one is fine. I do see it. Thank you, Morgan. All right. Looks like players are drawing their opening hands here. Looks like some blue cards on Skyler's side. We see a chalice come down pretty early there for Skyler. And if chat is correct, then we have Hammer Time versus Blue-White Control. And it does look like that is correct, as we see Esper Sentinel come down early for Paul. Skyler seemed to possibly know that Paul was on Hammer Time because he played that Chalice on 0. He could also just always play Chalice on 0 in most matchups. I'm not sure.
Just like a one of. Well, starting on 0 is pretty safe.
Yeah, but like if you're playing against something like Murktide, then you'd rather have it on 1, right? So it's kind of interesting to just. It is possible that Tyler just knew. It does look like the mics were off during your interview.
Oh.
So we might want to bring back in the Summit folks to fix that.
That's why you're in that chair.
That's fair.
And I'm in this one because navigating OBS.
That's all good. So we have Springleaf Drum into, I assume, either a Stoneforge Mystic or like a reality chip. And it is going to be Stoneforge Mystic.
And Skyler on like a Jeskai control.
I think Skyler's on Blue-White. I'm getting deck lists downloaded right now. But we do see.
I think that's Counterspell.
Yeah.
From the archives. And Esper Sentinel's so good.
And it does look like some Jeskai coming in here as we are shocking ourselves. And it looks like there's is it a Wear Tear or a Fire Ice in hand for Skyler?
Possibly. There is a split card there.
Right, we're going to shock ourselves on Paul's side, bring him down to, I believe, 14.
What creatures on the battlefield there for Skyler? Can't quite tell.
It's possibly the 2/5 Merfolk.
Oh, the spell. 3/4.
Is it a 3/4?
That attacks to draw a card. Possibly, but in any case, Hammer came in on the Esper Sentinel, and it looks like scoops have been initiated.
Really quick game there.
Oh yeah, that can happen with Hammer. That deck is wild. So taking a peek at Paul's sideboard here. We see 2 Hushbringer, a couple of Lavinia, Some mana leaks. March of the Otherworldly Light, Path to Exile, Pithing Needle, Relic of Progenitus, Sanctifier and Vec, Spell Pierce, and a Teferi Time Raveler. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how much like permission or protection counter spells bring in. Maybe like I could see the Teferi and the Spell Pierce coming in to stop the Jeskai player from interacting with Paul on his turn.
Yeah, it does look like we might be missing deck list. Did you not see Skyler's deck list in that pile?
He said Morgan said that it was on the list or there. So.
I will. Do you want to go grab a paper deck list? It is not on the sheet.
Still.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Does look like Paul is continuing to sideboard here. Skyler is complete. Looks like Paul's actually bringing in quite a few cards for this matchup. Wondering if it's things along the line. If we look at his sideboard really quick, it is possible that he's bringing in, let's see, Mana Leak, Spell Pierce, Teferi Time Reveler, maybe even Pithing Needle. And we do have Skyler's list. We can look at it really quickly while players present their decks. We have, looks like there are Path to Exiles, Heliod's Interventions. I think that would be the most likely to come in here.
Oh yeah, Heliod's Intervention is very good. Looks like they are underway.
Land from both players. Turn 1 at Sentinel once again from Paul. One of the most annoying cards I would assume in this matchup for Tyler to deal, or for Skyler to deal with.
Esper Sentinel is so annoying to deal with. Play against it all the time on Arena, and paying 1 is not fun. Or more if if it gets bigger.
Yeah, I mean once it has a hammer on it,
right.
It's basically you don't pay that. We do see. I think that's is that a March or a?
I think it looks like an old frame, so it's probably Prismatic Ending.
Perfect timing to open the can there.
Right.
Couldn't possibly have done that while we were talking, Patty. We have another ending here.
With another Esper Sentinel.
This one I think is more likely to get Spell Pierced here.
Let's see.
I do think that with the number of cards that Paul brought in, that it is likely that the Spell Pierce was one of them.
Right, going up to the 3. Yeah.
Oh, no land drop there for Mr. Stewart. Inkmoth Nexus. 1 at Skyler, putting him down to 18, I believe. Or maybe even lower.
There's 18, and we see
and
that
3
hey,
mana Little Tef
oh,
coming down. It's gonna be pretty hard to. Oh, no blink minus here though. Playing really respecting burn spells that can take care of Teferi.
right, and maybe saving 2 for like a chalice to
Yeah,
bounce with
that
a
could be-
chalice
that could be true.
after that comes down. So I like that. I like that from Paul. Skyler weighing his options.
Yeah, if I'm Skyler, I'm probably hoping that I have Expressive in my hand to kind of try to get out of this. Actually, don't see Expressive Iteration in his list.
That's interesting. You'd think that would be a card the Jessica deck would want, like as a reason to go red. Okay, so we see a March of Otherworldly Light on the Esper Sentinel.
Yeah, it is. There are 6 of those style removal spells, 4 ending, and 2 march in the main alone.
Awesome. We're gonna see Inkmoth Nexus get fired up here,
Looks like we're gonna see a Stoneforge Mystic from Paul. Oh,
or
not.
2 white. Maybe this Paladin.
Oh, it's gonna
Draw a
draw a
card.
card first.
Okay. Glare there. I think that might be a Sigarda's Aid.
All right, draw here from Skyler. See if we get that land drop that we needed. It did look like that was a land on the end there. Yeah, and Chet is calling out that it's mostly blue-white control. It does look like there's Fire Ice, which we saw in hand last game.
Yep.
And I think that's mostly it for the red.
Okay. It looks like we did find the Scalding Tarn as land of draw number 3. There is Chalice on 1, and it is good.
Chat coming in clutch with the Paul's Hand of Blacksmith, Skill, Inkmoth, and Paladin.
There's Inkmoth number 2. Oh yeah.
Firing up the Inkmoth, equipping, and attacking.
So good thing I brought out the poison counters there. Our opponent.
See if they even use them.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah. I love the art for poison. The new Phyrexian symbol is sweet.
Probably going to see, yep, blue-white land come into play here.
Yeah, with Teferi in play, interacting with those Inkmoth Nexuses is going to be Nexi. It's going to be difficult.
It does look like Fire Ice is and ending are the main ways to do it. Luckily, that is a reason to play red as well, is increasing the number of colors that you can prismatic ending for.
Right, yeah. And Teferi down, as ending was able to take care of Teferi. There is a Paladin.
Yeah, I think that we are still short on attacks. How did we equip for free?
It must be an artifact over, so
On the far left.
yeah, on the far left. So since Nexus is an artifact with the
That was
Shadow
my
Spear.
guess, is that the other one had to be an artifact too for that to work.
Still not entirely sure what that card is. Maybe a pithing needle?
It's possible that it is Pithing Needle.
He hasn't quite used it like for mana. Right, with like a springleaf drum or something like that.
Looks like there might be a judge call going on right now.
Oh, so maybe that other card is not an artifact. Maybe we were assuming that it was an artifact for equip.
Sure.
And you were calling out.
It's possible that the reason that Paul is tapped out is actually to make the other Ink Moth an artifact, but I'm not sure what the judge call is.
Yeah, I think he's kind of showing, right? Like, I could do that as a fix.
Yeah, well, step away from the table while the judge handles this. Blue-white, interesting pickup from Skyler here. I know that he had been playing Esper Control in Modern not that long ago. So it's interesting to see the kind of the light red splash.
Yeah, shifting down from black to red. Probably easier on your mana base as well if you're not doing a full black splash. Right, a full black splash would want Thought Seizes, Fatal Pushes.
Yeah. On paper here, kind of looking at Skyler's deck list, we've got, the most interaction that you could probably expect from a blue-white deck in the form of 4 Counterspell, 4 Archmage's Charm, and 2 Force of Negation in the counterspells. Plus it has 4 Solitudes and the March of Otherworldly Light and the Prismatic Ending and stuff. So it does look like we have a ruling that has happened. In fact, Skyler has even put a card back on top of his deck, so we will transition back to the players.
Maybe they're backing up. Back it up. Okay, so take for 3, since he wasn't able to equip the Shadow Spear to be fixed. So now I'm curious what that other card is if it's not an artifact.
Chat is saying it is a Giver of Ruins.
Oh.
And here we once again see the second Sky coming down for Skyler.
Yeah, that card's really powerful. Attacking and drawing a card, having a 3/4 body doesn't die to Lightning Bolt.
Morgan coming in clutch in the chat. Perfect.
Giving us the update on what's going on out there.
All right, we will be getting rid here of Chalice of the Void, allowing, really opening up the things that Paul could be doing here moving forward. Paul should be going to 17 here. Oh, I guess they rewound.
Ooh.
That is an artifact. And if there's no Path to Exile from Skyler here, ooh. Coming down with the Saga. Animate.
Now we have free equips.
Attempt to equip. Attack.
Poison you? That's the game.
Yes, with the Giver of Ruins, that was going to be pretty tough to get through. Multiple bodies there. And that will do it for this match. And we'll be back with Paul shortly.
Woohoo!
Alrighty, and we're back with Paul, the winner of our last match.
Paul, that was pretty decisive in that first game.
Sure.
I'm sitting behind you, and I'm looking at your hand, and I'm like, that's 2 hammers. And then Skyler taps out, and like, what did you think he had force or anything? Like,
The one thing I thought he might have was Solitude, for sure.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I was wondering, like, if just, like, going for it right there was definitely the best plan, and I figured it's the less chance that he would have a Solitude, and
Yeah.
I had the Pure Steel for backup anyway, too.
Yeah,
so.
that's fair. So one thing with this deck, we were talking a little bit on our way back into the room, and you said you feel like it's a good choice for this weekend. What specifically do you feel like is giving you that edge?
I think that when I've been on Living End lately, people were extra prepared for that, and
Yeah.
like Living End's kind of grown up, and I think that because of that, people were shaving their Force of Vigor specifically
Okay.
from their sideboard.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cards that this deck hates to play against is that and Solitude. Those are the
Nice.
two.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like the blue version of this deck, which is what you're on, specifically is a really good game against Jeskai / blue-white or whatever it may be, just because you have access to. I mean, we saw the Spell Pierce in game 1 or game 2 towards the beginning to protect your Esper Sentinel.
Oh no, it was game 1.
Was that game 1?
Yeah, yeah. It was the second Esper Sentinel,
Oh, that's right.
which
That's
made
right.
him tap out on turn 3.
Oh, right, and then you just like murdered him. Anyway, yeah. So you've got some counter spells. You've got a pretty good suite of just your generic hammer stuff. How do if going forward, what do you expect to see, and what do you want to, or at least what do you want to see, and what don't you want to see going forward?
For the rest of this tournament, I mean, I'm pretty much would like to avoid the 4-color matchup. I beat it in round 2, the Elementals version.
Yeah.
But I would like to avoid that one just because they have a lot of free disruption and they're able to progress their board.
Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes faster than Hammer because of the fact that they have that free disruption to like slow you down.
Okay.
I also think that I would be really happy to see Murktide, and Murktides is usually like one of the second most popular decks, I'd say, in these formats.
Yeah.
And I've played Hammer for quite a while, and I feel like if you play it smart, you have a really good game against Murktide.
Yeah.
It's like really hard to lose, honestly.
So the one deck that we're seeing a lot of that we haven't mentioned so far is Titan. There's a lot of Titan in the field today. I was walking around earlier. Apparently seeing 7 to 8 pilots out of our 70 pilots today.
Yeah.
So how do you feel against Titan? I mean, they have a lot of Besageux and sometimes Force of Vigor out of the board.
Yeah, so Titan is definitely one of those ones that it's not a matchup I'd like to play against most of the time.
Yeah.
I think that the one benefit for being like on blue-white for that matchup is like Lavinia is actually really, really good at turning off their packs.
Yeah.
And that's like really, really important sometimes for that game plan.
Yeah.
I also think that the fact that I'm bringing March of Otherworldly Light specifically has been like really good in that matchup. I've actually lit Amulet get to the point where they're trying to kill me with Dryad and Volakut, and I just kill like one enchantment or something or one land, like kill their Urza Saga that they had left on the field, and just turn it off and get that extra turn that you just need.
Just to get there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So outside of, I'm looking over your deck list here. The 2 other questions I have for you is the Hushbringers. Is that just for 4-color? Like,
there's actually a couple of matchups where it's like really good. Like 4-color, it's like really good. You're basically saying, hey, for you to have that free interaction that you love and that you need against me, you're gonna have to deal with this first.
Yeah.
Also, it's like extremely good in the Yawgmoth matchup because it has the turns off death trigger ability as well. And so if you're able to put like a hammer on that, like sometimes that's like game against
They
Yawgmoth.
just won't be able to kill it.
Yeah, plus you're gaining life, and so it's like helps swing that matchup like in a really great way, which Hammer is normally pretty bad against Yawgmoth, even though it's like a really low contender. Like there's only usually like one pilot, maybe.
We just see Tyler, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. And maybe one other one that sneaks up.
Nice. So I mean, this looks good. It looks. I mean, every week I've seen you kind of change your strategy a little bit for the last about month-ish, I feel like, and I feel like this is a good bring this week. Outside of maybe the amount of Titan, but
I didn't expect that, to be honest.
I was a little surprised. I was thinking we'd see a movement away from Titan a little bit after. 2 weeks ago, Titan did really poorly, and then last week I kind of took a break, so I don't know what it looked like last week at any of the Modern events.
I was in Pioneer as well. I took a break from Modern last week.
So coming back, I mean, to be fair, this store is known to have a lot of Titan players.
Usually I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So,
But otherwise, what are you gonna do if you win? You planning to head out there and just crush it?
100%, yeah. And right now, like, we have to see what happens with the new set because it's gonna be a weird weekend. Like, it literally releases.
Yeah.
And then it's like basically the next day after the cards are legal is when you're starting day 1. So we'll see what happens there, but right now probably mono green if I do get there.
Nice. I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna play. I'm really hoping that Brothers War, just like every other artifact set, just like piles in some sweet stuff. And I'd love to play some like scrap trawler nonsense at the RC.
Oh yeah, or if they brought something that like made hardened scales good again,
Ooh,
because
yes, absolutely.
Like them missing walking ballista is like so big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Well, I'm excited. Hopefully you get there, Paul. I'd like to see you there in Atlanta. And we're gonna probably bring in the person that was muted the entire time from the last interview, so we can get some of that. So we'll be right back.